Alright, this is for 5th grade ELA text set 14. Have you ever watched birds and wondered exactly how they fly? This is a nonfiction book titled Birds, Nature's Magnificent Flying Machines by Caroline Arnold. As I read, notice each section heading and what it tells you. Why fly? One spring day in 1804, when the great painter and naturalist John James Audubon was a teenager, he spied a pair of phoebes near his home in Pennsylvania. The birds were building a nest on a rocky ledge. Later, after the eggs in the nest hatched, Audubon watched the phoebes dart through the air, catching insects to feed their hungry babies. The young birds grew fast, and in a few weeks were ready to fly. They spread their wings, flapped, and flew a short distance. Audubon was amazed at how quickly they had become experts, even though they had never flown before. Almost all birds can fly. Flying helps birds find food, reach safe places for building nests, escape from predators on the ground, and travel easily over long distances. It helps them to survive. So this is our heading. And then we're about to read about nature's flyers. Birds, bats, and insects are the only groups of living animals that can fly. Of these, birds are by far the largest, fastest, and most powerful. Okay, now we have a diagram of a bird. Inside a bird's body. The large muscles that lift a bird's wing are anchored on the breastbone or sternum and are attached to the upper wing bone or humerus. The wishbone or furcula, which is flexible in some birds, is also connected to the breastbone. This is the heading. Lightweights of the world. You can notice that this is the heading because it's different. The color of it is different. It's blue instead of black. Lightweight bodies help birds to be good flyers. If you jump off a chair, no matter how high you jump or how hard you flap your arms, you land on the floor. But when a bird takes off into the air, it is so light it can overcome the pull of gravity. A bird's skeleton is made of thin, hollow bones. The skull is also thin and lightweighted. And instead of a heavy jaw with teeth, a bird with a much lighter beak without teeth. Another thing that makes a bird's body light is a series of air sacs that fill spaces between other organs. Most birds have 9 air sacs. They are connected to the lungs and help a bird to use more of the air it takes in with each breath. So this is a bird's skull. Openings in a bird's skull help to make it light. A bird bone close-up. This is the picture of a bird's bone close-up. If you cut a bird's bone lengthwise, the inside looks something like a honeycomb. This network of support strengthens the bone in the same way that struts help support a bridge. Designed for flight. That's the heading. Birds need wings to fly. Look at bird's wings from the side. It has a thick front edge and a downward curve toward the back. The distance over the top is greater than the distance across the bottom. When a bird moves to the sky, the air at the front of the wing separates as it flows over the wing surface. The air traveling over the top goes faster than it does across the bottom. That's because it must go a longer distance in the same amount of time. A difference in airspeed causes a difference in air pressure. This pulls the wing at the top, pushes it from below, and creates a force called lift. Lift is what keeps a bird up in the air while it is flying. And now we're learning about lift. Lift. If you hold a piece of paper by one edge and blow it across the top of it, you can see how lift is created. The faster moving air on top of the paper pulls it up. Engineers use this principle when designing the wings of airplanes. Creating lift. Now we're learning about how they create the lift. The more quickly air moves over the top of the wings, the more lifting power they have. One way that a bird can increase its lifting power is by tilting its wings to increase the curve. Feathers. Now we're going to be learning about the feathers. That's the heading. Feathers are important for flying too. Long feathers on the wing, called flight feathers, make the wing bigger and give it shape. Tail feathers are used for steering. Short, smooth contour feathers cover the body and give it a streamlined shape. Short, fluffy down feathers lie next to the skin and help keep the bird warm. Most feathers have a hollow center shaft with their thin hair-like strands across barbs on either side. The barbs are connected to each other by tiny hooks called barbules. These help give a flight feather its smooth, air-light surface. So there's a close-up of the feather, barbule, barb, and shaft. Flight feather. On the shaft of a flight feather, the barbs on one side are longer than on the other side. Contour feathers. Contour feathers are short and compact with barbs of equal length. Down feathers, what we have in blankets and jackets. Down feathers have no shaft. The silky fibers grow from a common point. Molting. Have you ever found a feather on the ground? Once a year, a few at a time. Birds' old feathers fall out and new feathers grow in. This process is called molting. Wings. A bird's wings are its arms. The longest wing feathers, called primers, are on the hand. These provide the power for flight as the bird moves its wing down in the air. These provide the power for flight as this bird moves its wing down in the air. The secondary feathers are on the forearm and give the wing its curved shape. The shorter Aiden, stop. Feathers are on the upper arm and help make a smooth connection between the wing and body. Rows of short covert feathers go across the top of the wing and give it a curved edge. The bones inside the wings are similar to those in your arm and hand. In the bird's hand, through the finger bones are connected. This helps make the end of the wing strong. The thumb bone at the front of the wing is called the alula. Look how I use that pronunciation thing over here. Feathers attached to the alula help direct the airflow across the wing so the bird does not stall or fall when it flies slowly. So you now have the bird's wing bones and human hand and arm. So you can see kind of the difference and similarities that we both have. Preening. A bird needs to preen or clean its feather to keep them smooth for flying. As for the bird slides each feather through its beak, it is like pulling up a zipper. Any strands that were separated hook together again. While preening, the bird also spreads body oil over its feathers to make them waterproof. Taking off. That's our heading. Taking off from the ground is the hardest part of flying. A bird must flap its wings so fast that they will create enough airspeed to lift the bird into the air. This uses a great deal of energy. Whenever possible, a bird takes off facing the wind. The air blowing over the surface of the wings gives the bird a head start. Heavy birds have a harder time taking off than small birds do. A sparrow can fly right up into the air from a standing start. A gull, on the other hand, may have to run along the ground to gain enough speed to take off. Ducks paddle across the surface of the water to increase their takeoff speed. Herons bend their long legs and jump into the air. Eagles and vultures usually perch on cliffs or on the tops of tall trees. Up there they can spread their wide wings and catch the wind. And then these all have like our little information about what picture we're seeing. Flapping. Flapping gives a bird the power to fly. As the ends of the wing move down through the air, they pull the bird forward. Air rushing over the wing lifts the bird in the air. Okay, now it has a list of things. To begin flapping, the bird lifts its wings high. Number 2, it moves the wings forward and down. The flat surface of the wing pushes the air like a broad paddle. 3. The downward motion is completed. 4. The bird lifts his wing back and up. 5. Now it opens the feathers like the slats on a window blind. 6. This helps airflow through them and makes it easier for the bird to raise its wings. 7. When they are fully lifted, the bird is ready to begin its next downward stroke. Okay. Slow and fast flappers. Small birds flap faster than big birds do. Large birds, like vultures, flap about once a second. Medium-sized birds, like doves and crows, flap 2 or 3 times a second. Little birds, like chickadees, beat their wings about 30 times a second. A tiny hummingbird may flap its wings up to 80 times a second. This is so fast that the wings look like a blur. So this is a heading again. A wing for every purpose. Each kind of bird has wings that are best for its way of life. Birds that spend most of their time on the ground often have short, rounded wings. This shape is good for darting and turning quickly. A grouse, for example, uses its powerful wings to fly up quickly when danger is near. Fast-flying birds usually have long, pointed wings. Their shape is built for speed. Swallows and swifts flap their long wings as they chase insects in the air. Soaring birds have large wings for maximum lift. Birds that soar over the sea, such as albatrosses, usually have long, narrow wings that are good for riding with the wind. Birds that soar more slowly over the land, such as hawks, have large, wide wings that are better for catching gentle breeze. Okay, we're going to skip over to hummingbirds. Over here. Hovering. Have you ever watched a bird stay in one place when it flaps? It is hovering. Kestrels often hover as they search the ground for small animals. They flap their wings in a forward motion and tuck their tails underneath them as they break. Most birds hover while facing into the wind. The wind blows them backward at the same rate that they are moving forward, so they stay still. The champions of hovering are the hummingbirds. These tiny birds can even fly backward for short distances. As the hummingbird hovers, it turns its body upward and flaps its thin, pointed wings. The wings turn at the shoulders so that the hummingbird gets lift on both the up and down strokes. Alright, and then I'm just going to go show you the ending. It also has a glossary as well as the index, and it helps for keys for pages. This is a text feature for nonfiction text.